Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder again with another AITA story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for not sharing my inheritance with my sister since she chose to be adopted? Sounds like this one has the twisties. Throwaway account. I, 30 male, lost my mom when I was 5. Despite being so young, I had very vivid and treasured memories of my mom and did not take to my dad dating a year after her death well. My dad recognized that he knew this would be hard for me, but said that as the parent/adult, he knew what was best, even if it didn't seem that way at first, and that I'd thank him in the long run. Not long after that, he married my stepmom, Lucy, and when I began to act out over it, my dad said that parenting alone was hard and that my sister Jessica, 28 female, needed a mom. My dad even got my maternal grandparents to tell me that everything would be fine and how I needed to be a good boy. That was enough to get me to behave during the wedding, but once Lucy moved in and started redecorating, I started acting out again. My dad had had enough and just started punishing me whenever I acted out or made Lucy upset, as well as used the "Jessica isn't acting out like this." And to be honest, Jessica was easily pleased and wasn't alive long enough to have the same attachment to our mom as I did. It really upset me when Jessica started calling Lucy mom, and it really ticked me off when Lucy started referring to me as her son. I always corrected it when she tried that around me. It got worse when I was 8 and Lucy had her own kids, because then my dad and her started pushing for adoption. Jessica obviously had no problems with it, but I refused. Wait, so how old was she? She's 2 years younger. Jessica's 2 years younger. So Jessica was 6. Of course she didn't push against adoption. She's 6. My dad had my maternal grandparents come in again and tell me that adoption wouldn't be that bad, but I still refused. Lucy and my dad pushed for the adoption anyway, but thankfully the judge listened to my feelings in a private room and denied it. After that, therapy started, but it didn't last, so they also tried the, since you don't want to be a part of this family, you don't get X or you can't come do Y. But I was too stubborn for that method to work on me. The only one who I felt was on my side was my paternal aunt, who kept sticking up for me whenever she'd see what Lucy and my dad were trying to do. So when I turned 18, I went straight to her. It was when I became a legal adult that my maternal grandparents confessed that they were never okay with the situation, but my dad threatened to keep me and my sister away if they didn't show support. I was furious. So furious that I had my surname legally changed to my mom's maiden name, as I wanted nothing to do with my dad and only ever really talked to my paternal aunt. Fast forward to now and my grandma has passed away. Grandpa died in 2020, and according to their will, only their legal grandchildren are to split a $250,000 inheritance, and since Jessica is legally Lucy's daughter, all she got was a framed photo of my mom and a letter. Jessica doesn't think it's fair and thinks that I should share, but I told her to get money from her legal grandparents. My aunt thinks I'm being a bit harsh, so am I the asshole? Edited to add because someone asked. It had been 2 years since the last time she'd spoken to either of my grandparents, while she frequently called and interacted with Lucy's parents. Jessica was never close to my mom's side of the family because she'd rather spend time with Lucy's family and or didn't want to hurt their feelings. Edited to add too, again since someone asked, when Lucy moved in, she and my dad took down all of my mom's pictures and got rid of her things. I wasn't allowed to keep any pictures in my room, and I would catch heat if I tried to celebrate my mom's birthday, mourn on the anniversary of her death, and get punished if I didn't celebrate Mother's Day the way Lucy wanted me to. So yeah, she wasn't this saint of a woman who stepped in when my mom couldn't to me. More red flags for that. Edited to add 3 because I'm starting to see the same thing. I don't blame Jessica for choosing the adoption. Now, I'm angry at her belief that she should get any money from my grandparents despite never showing an interest in having a relationship with them once she was 18. They reached out numerous times, but she never bothered, yet has the belief that she's entitled to their money. That's what ticked me off. My mom had a sister who also had kids. I'm not getting the full $250K. No, I don't expect anyone from Lucy's side to leave me anything, nor would I demand Jessica to share. It would be completely hypocritical. Okay, so Dad, for not even attempting to raise them himself or find some kind of natural slow path that led him to someone that was right for everyone, immediately just thought, I can't do this on my own. They need a mom. Here's a woman. Boop. This should work. Took a very lazy approach, or just someone he was attracted to and didn't really take the time to ease into that, just tried to just replace her like she was a broken oven or something, is obviously not the play. And obviously, OP was old enough to be offended by this, and his sister wasn't. So she didn't know any different. She was at the age where the pivot was more natural to her because she wasn't to the point where she was questioning things. So you can't blame her for that. But yes, if she didn't make any attempts to have a relationship with them, but still expects some kind of money, that's shitty. So She's an asshole there. OP's dad is an asshole. The mother-in-law is obviously an asshole as well. I think the biggest asshole in this whole story is probably the dad, because he just tried to replace her like that, manipulated the maternal grandparents to manipulate the kids. What? This is a conspiracy. This is like Designated Survivor, only with parents. It's messed up. OP's dad and Lucy, flying all the way to ascon 1 here, he took the easy button approach to just replacing his children's mother. And you can't do that. There has to be some kind of ease in process to make sure that everyone gels together well. That's not what he wanted, though. He just wanted to swap it out like a car part. And guess what? It didn't work well. Also, manipulated so many people here into doing things that were not in their best interest or the children's best interest. That's the end of it. He acted in a way that was not in his children's best interest. He wanted what he wanted. ascon 1. Lucy went along with it and facilitated it or enabled it. ascon 1 as well. Freaking grandparents, I'm not sure here, because did they have a choice? Did they have a choice? And how bad would it suck if you were that grandparent and you had to tell a child this crap that you know is not true and you know hurts them? What a shitty position to be in. OP, you're definitely not the asshole here. Your sister's an asshole for expecting money when she didn't have any kind of relationship with them. Where is she here? Where is she? She definitely shouldn't have done that. So in ascon 2, should have done it differently. There's nothing she should have done differently, though. She should have just not done it. She should have not voiced that she expected anything from grandparents that she never made any kind of attempt to have a relationship with. And for that reason, I'm throwing her up to 2. It may be harsh, but just going by the definitions here, it's not a do it different. It's a don't do it. I'm not using anything about her childhood here. I'm using strictly the evidence of there were the maternal grandparents that she never attempted to have a relationship with. She can't expect to have any kind of inheritance from. And that makes sense. That alone. Ignore everything else in this story. For that part alone, I think that makes sense. Now, if they wanted her to have it, they would have defined that. But they very specifically said that only the legal grandchildren did. And I'm assuming they did that so that there was an indication or a line drawn where she was left out of that, because they didn't have a relationship with her. It sucks that they didn't have a relationship with her. If she had reached out and tried to facilitate something like that, how old is she? She's 28. It might be harsh, but I feel like at 28, it's enough time to build that relationship. If you're going to expect an inheritance, you have to work for the relationship.